We're in the St. Andrew's Rectory. I'm Meredith Bochers, and I'm the museum program planner. The Rectory is the living quarters of the Reverend who would have preached across the way at St. Andrew's Anglican Church. It was built in 1854, buildings owned by Parks Canada, and now the St. Andrew's Heritage Centre runs programs and has exhibits within that building. The Rectory itself is like a large artifact, right? It's a historical building and it's very tied to the history of the development of Manitoba. You definitely don't want to lose community history. History is one of those things that keeps communities thriving, and by communities I mean also the people within those communities. It's not just exhibits, we're also doing programming, so there's an element of historical continuity where back in the day, this would have been the center for a lot of social activities, get-togethers, and it actually is continuing to this day.
We operate programming, we have a small gift shop, we have exhibits that try to teach the community and others about the area, the building, and the importance of this location in particular. It was very important for the interactions between the Scottish and the English settlers that came here, and the First Nations and the bands that were here, and how they worked together to build a permanent establishment here. So the residents here would go on to explore the north, explore the west. It was a pivotal role in the development of Western Canada. What we're trying to do is make really interesting and accessible exhibits, make it fun and educational.
They did want interactive type displays. That's what started this whole movement here. The Salt Creek District gave us a grant to hire a consultant to do a feasibility study of what kind of direction we should be going, like in the big picture. And then we got further grants from Salt Creek District for other exhibits in here. Kids now, maybe they'll look at some old piece of equipment of some sort, and that holds their attention for a few seconds, but a lot of our exhibits, our new exhibits, are interactive.
It is to make history functional and teachable and fun for anyone who's interested in it. We made displays that are very tactile, that children can learn from. You can decide your fate on how your farm crops did this year. You can decide to be a trapper versus a farmer, and you can look at what the timing of those activities mean, that you can't do trapping and farming at the same time because they overlap.
We have a lot of displays that are just kind of everyday lifestyle based, so connecting it to their own history of like, oh, my grandpa would have done this, this way. That's really cool. A lot of our programs to kind of connect with younger kids and, this is how we do this thing now, but look at how we would have done it back in the day. And then also having the interactive parts is just really good for making those histories come alive in different ways. So it's not just stuff on panels. There's things you can touch, there's things you can hear, and little videos to watch too. There's some games. And so it really just does make it more accessible to a lot of age groups, which is great.
Most of the exhibits down here are done, they're completed, except we have what was used to be the study, and we want to make that into a spiritual room. So that's happening this year yet, and the Salt Creek District has been involved, some grant money has been involved with that. Like this was originally an Anglican, all Anglican flavor. Yeah. That's it, because it was an Anglican to start with.
The intention is to represent all spiritual practices or traditions that would have been in this area. So of course it's not just Anglican Christian, there'll also be elements of Métis spirituality, First Nation spirituality, and then also none of these things exist in a vacuum, right? So this is an Anglican in history institution. It's close to the Anglican Church, it's tied to the Anglican Church, but the parishioners would have been Métis, First Nations, and who knows what their own background would have been. So it's not like these things are in little boxes that are separate from each other. And it's also keeping stories alive. The demographics here are lots of Métis. You want to keep histories alive when there has been a history of suppression, and sometimes we can lose those family histories, so it's important that they are celebrated, commemorated, and continued.